So the major type of cell was the neurons. First type of cell was the neurons. That is they are the building blocks of the nervous system. Apart from these neurons, you also have supporting cells which are doing some supporting function for the neurons. They are this glial cells. Okay. They are supporting cells which are called as glial cells. So they are not involved in the transformation of information. They are not, therefore they are called as non-neuronal cells. Their main function is not information transformation. They are just supporting the neurons. The major information transformation is done by the neurons. So therefore they are called as the non-neuronal cells. What is their major function here? To provide support and provide nutrients to the neurons. And they also differ from neurons in another ways like dividing. And if you take here in the case of neuron cells, they are not dividing, but in the case of the glial cells, they are dividing cells. And another way is they cannot transfer information. So they cannot produce action potentials here. They have different and they are found in different shapes. And each neuron, there are different types of neurons here. And each neuron has a specific function being performed. The supporting cells or the glial cells, these are the different type of glial cells. So one is the astrocytes, the second is the oligodendrocytes, third is the Schwann cells, four is the ependymal cells, and five is the microglial cells. So these are the different type of supporting cells or the glial cells found in the nervous system, giving a support or nutrient to the major cells, that is the neurons. Astrocytes, talking about these astrocytes, first type of this glial cells. Actually, if you say these astrocytes, my voice is heard. Somebody was. Am I audible? Am I connected? Can
Yes,
somebody?
ma'am.
So astrocytes, if you take these supporting cells, they do many jobs inside the nervous system. So what are those functions they do? We will see. That is, they provide support to the neurons. Let us take this is a neuron. So they act as a supporting. They give a support to these neurons. So they give a support. You can see in this picture the neuron is there, but it is connected to the blood vessel with the help of these astrocytes. So they connect with the neurons through close physical contacts as with the synapses of the neuron. So providing here physical contact and also providing nutrients. So these neurons, that is these astrocytes, they also give a structural support and also provide nutrients to these neurons. That is, they pick up nutrients from the blood vessels and provide it to the neurons. Like nutrients, like they transport this sugar, ions and water. So they act like a pipeline between the blood vessels and the neurons. So if you take the structure of these astrocytes, like they have a star shaped structure, that is why they are called as astrocytes. And where do you find these cells? You can find it in brain, that is between the neurons. Okay, these are found in brain. Again, in brain you have the neurons, and in the neurons where, that is between the neurons, other glia, and that is between other glial cells and the blood carrying capillaries. So majorly where it is found in the brain, between the neurons or between the glial cells, and you can see as given in the picture, it is bound to the blood capillaries also. The other type of glial cells are these oligodendrocytes. So these oligodendrocytes, where it is present, what is function, we will see. So these cells, they are present in the brain and they are present in the spinal cord. So here, what is their major role? If you see here, you have the axons, and this axons is by, what is that, made up of many layers of this schizon, that is this oligodendrocytes. So here, if this, I told you here they are present in the brain and they are present in the spinal cord. So the brain, we call it as the central nervous system, and the spinal cord, we will, yes, both are in the central nervous system, brain and the spinal cord. Yes, so here if the oligodendrocytes are present in the central nervous system, these glial cells are called as oligodendrocytes. If these cells are present in the peripheral nervous system, they are called as the Schwann cells. Both the oligodendrocytes and Schwann cells, what they do is they send out thin branches of fatty substance, okay, which forms this myelin sheath. So these cells, that is this Schwann cells and oligodendrocytes, they are responsible for forming this myelin sheath. So there are many layers of this this myelin sheath is a fatty acid rich substance. So this myelination by oligodendrocytes and Schwann cells is essential for the neural communication and for the brain function. If it is not properly sealed, that is, it is not properly insulated, then it leads to disease condition. If it is not properly insulated, the information, there will be leaking of this information. So the information will not be properly transmitted from one cell to another. So therefore, it is very essential for the neuronal communication and for the brain functioning. The third type of cells, that is glial cells, is the microglial cells. The major role is acting as a defense cells, that is they are the immune cells of the nerve cells. They are like fighting against the foreign particle which is entering into the nervous system. So they are the smallest glial cells, and where they are found is they are found in the brain and the spinal cord. If you say the other type of glial cells, they are usually bound to, they are not easily moving through, but these are small cells which are they are easily moving through the brain and the spinal cord. So moving in this system, finding out if there is an entry of any foreign particle or organism, and it tries to destroy it. So it moves in the brain and the spinal. So it is the glial cell which is moving in the nervous system. So it rapidly responds to the invading microorganisms, and not only to microorganisms, it also helps in repair process. That is, any dead cells or worn out cells are there. So they are also removed by this microglial cells. So they move to that region of invading microbes or dead cells. They phagocytize, or that is phagocytosis is this process what is shown here, that is engulfing of the degraded or the foreign particle. So they phagocytize and they degrade the foreign particle or the waste material. Therefore, the major role here is acting as a immune cells in the nervous system. The other type of glial cells are these ependymal cells, and from the structure you can see they are cuboidal in shape. And where do you find these cells is in central canal of the spinal cord and in the brain also, that is the ventricles of the brain. So you find it in spinal cord and in the brain. So what is their major role here? They help in producing the cerebrospinal fluid, and they also help in transporting substances between the ventricles and the blood. Yes, so here by this time you know what is this nervous system. A network of nerve cells carrying information, that is transmitting information within the system. And we talked about what are the cell types. So this nervous system, major, that is the basic building block of the nervous system, are the neurons. And there are some supporting cells for these neurons, that is the glial cells. So we talked about the types of these glial cells and their function. And you'd have also, here neurons are the major cells. So we have studied about the structure of the neurons and what are the types of the neurons. And again we talked about the glial cells and its types.